Welcome to this video on the last mile, the fight against inflation. We expect inflation in the eurozone to fall further in November from 2.9% to 2.7%. Compared to the autumn peak of 10.6%, this is a massive fall. However, 3/4 of this is due to the slowdown in energy inflation. This sharp decline in overall inflation is similar to what many countries experienced in the 70s after the oil price shocks. But a study by the IMF shows that in almost half of the cases, inflation did not return to the desired level in the end, but leveled off above the desired rate. The last mile is the most difficult in the fight against inflation. ECB Executive Board member Isabel Schnabel says that the first thing that matters in the fight against inflation in the last mile is inflation expectations. But the ECB raised its rates very late. As a result, consumers' long-term inflation expectations are no longer anchored at 2%. This is not a good omen for the last few miles in the fight against inflation. Secondly, Mrs. Schnabel has called for the ECB to slow down the economy sufficiently to curb wage growth and thus inflation. But the growth in collectively agreed wages has accelerated massively. New agreements are even at 6%. This makes it difficult to push inflation down to 2%, especially as the ECB key interest rate is probably not yet high enough. The last few miles in the fight against inflation are the most difficult. We still expect inflation to stabilize at 3% rather than 2% in 2024. Nevertheless, we see bond yields falling next year because we expect a recession in the USA and in the eurozone.